Let's go.
Hello. In the next couple of minutes, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to make your first video confidently, to put on social media, to build trust with your clients. It's possible. You can do it. You just need to know how. First things first, why has user-generated content become so much better than corporate commercials? Simple, because people want to see other people, and it has never been easier to make content, thanks to our phones. Someone going to YouTube to search for a video that they're going to watch before they dig into their lunch will look for something totally different than a Gen Z doom scroller on TikTok or on X. I still call it Twitter. Something important to consider before you start making content is where and what platform you're going to be posting. So make sure you do your homework for each platform before you start pumping out content and putting it in random places. It'll save you a lot of time and heartache in the long run. So now that you've thought of what kind of content you're going to shoot and where you're going to post it, let's talk about gear. I personally believe that gear is one of the least important components of making content, because if your message is strong and you know how to deliver it, people will stick around and watch. And just consider how many viral videos there were 10, 15 years ago when people were literally filming on potatoes. But if you want your videos to look good and sound good, here's what it takes. The bare minimum that pretty much anybody could obtain is, of course, your smartphone. Ideally, a device that can shoot at 4K at 30 frames a second or better. For the Apple people out there, iPhone 14 and better is totally sufficient. I personally use Android. I have a Samsung Flip Z5. The Flip Z5 is great because I have the outside screen to look at myself in the monitor. And remember to always shoot in landscape to future-proof your content, and always use the outside camera if possible. Generally, your phone's gonna look pretty good already, but level it up by using natural lighting. You can go outside at the golden hour or sit near a window facing outside. Make sure you use a tripod, and also get a nice mic, either a lapel mic or a shotgun microphone. For the lav mic, try these ones here. And for the shotgun mic, I like this one. I'm not affiliated in any way, I just think these are good pieces of gear. As you continue getting more advanced with your content creation, I would definitely recommend considering getting a proper camera. There are tons of point and shoot cameras out there that look fantastic and shoot up to 4K and beyond. I personally use the Sony ZV1 because it fits nicely in a pocket, and it has lots of capability for upgrading and attachments. I also want to recommend the Nikon Z30 because it has a flip-out LCD screen, and at about $1,000, it's a good point of entry. Of course, with these upgraded cameras, you definitely want to get those upgraded microphones. Lastly, you want to have at least a 3-point lighting setup. You want your primary light, also known as the key light, that could be a ring light or a nice lamp that you have, and then you want a little fill light on the side. Same thing, you can use a nice lamp that you have, or you can pick up a nice cheap LED light on Amazon. To add depth to your video, you can also put in a backlight that could be colored neon or just a simple soft light. With this setup, your talking heads will look fantastic. Wherever you are in your content creation journey, just remember all of this gear is only as useful as the person using it. So stick with what you know, even if that means going outside on an overcast day with your iPhone. Remember though, always shoot in landscape mode to future-proof your content. Now that you've got your gear sorted, let's talk about the fun part, and oftentimes the most challenging part for people, actually filming the video. Important things to note about being on camera. As a trained actor and improv coach, here are my best practices for being on camera. Number 1, try your best to maintain eye contact with the camera. You don't have to look directly down the barrel of the lens, but looking at the camera or setting a point right above the lens is a great way to make the audience feel like they're making eye contact with you and keeping focused. If at all possible, try to have somebody nearby as backup to give you critical and honest feedback about your performance. One of the worst things that can happen while making content is that you film a bunch of content, then you get to the editing section of your work, and you discover that there are unusable pieces of footage. Whether the audio's been messed up, you're not even in frame, maybe there's a blemish or something really obviously wrong, or maybe your delivery was weak and no one was there to give you that feedback. Have somebody nearby so that they can review the stuff and they can give you some direction. They don't necessarily have to be your director, but it's good to have some backup. If you can't have someone nearby and you're working alone, it's important to review your footage. Watch it back frequently. Every few takes, go back and quickly scrub through, make sure everything looks good, sounds good, and make sure the camera is actually recording as well. Not all cameras have that nice red light to tell you that you're actually recording. I want to give you 2 pieces of direction for your script. First, memorize the script. As an actor, I've learned that there's no other way to learn a script than to learn it perfectly word for word. If you can memorize your script and be able to deliver it no matter what, that means that you can think more about how you're delivering the information. You can express all your emotions, you can use different hand gestures, and you can think about those other things while your brain is on autopilot delivering the words. Alternatively, you can just ditch the script. Write yourself some bullet points and shoot from the hip. Just make sure you know about the thing you're talking about, so that if you go a little bit off track from your bullet points, at least your content still makes sense. And lastly, in my opinion, one of the most important things about creating content is when you're delivering to the camera, think of an intent in the back of your mind. This little secret piece of information is a very common tool that actors use. It's going to help you get your point across in a much stronger way while being subtle and authentic about it. If your video is meant to instill joy, then make sure in the back of your mind that that's your goal. You're trying to make someone feel joy. If you're trying to inspire someone with your video, have that little thought in the back of your mind, and your voice will change, your body language will change, and you'll be more likely to be successful in achieving that intent. It's important that you have a pre-show routine that you try to perform before you sit down and make content for an extended period of time. Your pre-show routine could be as simple as staying hydrated, doing some breathing exercises, maybe even going for a walk to get right into the zone. Because lots of people forget or neglect it, and they end up producing subpar quality content because their body or their mind was not in the right space. I personally always add on a vocal warm-up. I always do 3 things at a minimum for my vocal warm-ups. It's important to warm up your voice because you may shoot for way longer than expected and end up tiring out your vocal cords. I personally have been shooting this video for about 45 minutes, and I thought it would take 20. The first warm-up is very simple. It's called sirens. You're basically imitating the sound of a siren. Ooh. If you can't do it too loudly, because it will be loud, you can do it as a hum. You do this exercise 3 times or until you feel warmed up. The next exercise I always do is called the yawn. You're basically imitating a yawn. Oh. You go from your high note to your low note. And the last thing I always do is a tongue twister. Tongue twisters are great for warming up your lips and your tongue to help you enunciate better throughout your videos. Red leather, yellow leather. The lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue. Do these tongue twisters back to back 3 to 5 times or until you can get it right quickly. Now that you've got all your footage, it's time to pass it to your editor. It's important to remember that you should keep your editor in the loop right from the start. They should be part of the planning for the content, the scripting, the ideation, all of it, because that way they can help keep your message and your tone cohesive and consistent. If you don't already have an editor, that's okay. It's good to try it for yourself. It's good to know how the system works, but you don't want to waste your time editing if you're not familiar with the systems, especially since there are so many freelance editors out there you can easily work with. If you need help with editing, you can scroll down below and you can check out our packaging because we also edit. Now let's be realistic. Your first few videos are likely not going to be amazing. And that's okay. Don't let that deter you. You have to keep trying, and the longer you are on camera, the longer you make the content, the more of yourself that you watch, the more comfortable you're gonna be, and the more authentic and natural your performances will come out. The hardest part is making that first video and watching yourself back. But once you've done it, it's a huge step in the right direction for strengthening your brand and building trust with your clients. And that's it. Everything you need to know to make your first piece of content for your valued customers. And remember, if you're struggling with being on camera, I'm a trained actor and improv coach, and I've helped countless people come out of their shell and become more natural in front of people and in front of a camera. Now go out there and start filming. And if you need help, scroll down below and book a call with me.